This is way better than we thought. Jabari Smith Jr. spoke with the Houston Chronicle recently and gave his thoughts on the upcoming 2025-2026 season, and it has got Rockets fans absolutely hyped up and ready to see what he is going to bring not only next year, but the years to come. And so we're going to give you all the details as to that report right here on Rockets Digest. Hello, everybody. I'm your host, Donovan Ricondo. If you have not yet subscribed, go ahead, hit that subscribe button below. We're covering the Houston Rockets all off season. Now, as many of you know, Jabari Smith Jr. has been quite the talk of the town in Houston after signing a $122 million extension for the next 5 years, keeping him until the 2031 NBA season. So he is investing in Houston. And this comes after a lot of talk in the offseason of a possible trade between him and the Phoenix Suns for Kevin Durant. Obviously, that did not happen. He now gets to play with KD, and he gets to be in a new 5-year, $122 million contract. And he spoke recently with the Houston Chronicle about that whole situation. And he gave an insight that, quite frankly, is, as Rockets fans, should be something that has us jumping for joy, that has us excited to see him play in a Rockets uniform next year. And so I'm going to bring you to that quote from Jabari Smith Jr. He says this, quote, "It feels great to just know that you are committed to the city where you want to be. I want to be here for the rest of my career. So I'm glad that this is a good start to it, and I'm ready to build something." And coming from a young star on the team, right? A player who's, developing. He's only 22 years old. He's a 22-year-old basketball player, former number 2 overall pick, drafted by the Houston Rockets, not born, but bred by this team and this developmental staff to be one of their mainstay guys. And that was proven in the trade with GM Rafael pretty much saying, hey, we want to keep Jabari Smith. He is one of our untouchables. And eventually getting their way and then signing him to this contract. And so we know from a front office standpoint, there is investment on Jabari Smith Jr. Now, is the reverse true? Yes, it absolutely is. Jabari Smith Jr., 22 years old, says he wants to spend the rest of his career in Houston. Again, he's 22. How long that career will be, I'm thinking at least 10 more years for him. He's very talented, that he's going to build his legacy right here in H-Town for this team in hopes of winning a lot of championships down the road. So that, to me, is exciting for Rockets fans, to have a guy with that amount of talent who's only growing as a player to be committed to this team already. I think of, the guys that were dedicated to their teams, the most loyal guys in the NBA. Every team pretty much has that guy, right? I think off the top of my head, like the Mavericks had Dirk for so many years, and the Spurs had Tim Duncan for so many years. Now, Houston could have its own guy to be the equivalent to that, and that is Jabari Smith Jr. Again, 22 years old, and anything can happen in careers. It's all subject to change, but to hear from him, this young and this committed to the team, and with the players surrounded around him, the coaching staff, why would you want to leave? And so the fact that he is committed to that is impressive in its own side. But I want to talk more about what he said to the Houston Chronicle and what other insights he gave about, the whole trade scenario. And he talks a little bit about his desire to stay in Houston and saying, quote, "I think it was something that it either was going to happen or it wasn't." You know what I mean? So I'm just glad it happened. I wanted to be here. And again, that's coming after all of the trade talks all offseason, even trades that we covered ourselves, mock trades, discussing a possible KD trade or a possible Giannis trade. Jabari Smith Jr. was kind of one of those guys that was always involved in those conversations because he's a very talented player. The contracts help make things line up. And so Jabari Smith Jr., after going through all of that, after hearing the noise, continued to train, continue to get better. I recently reported on this channel, right after that, he had basically said, he was like, "I'm so mad that we lost to those Golden State Warriors." And I essentially got right back to the gym, preparing for next season, despite all this talk of him possibly being traded away, right? And being not in Houston, the place that he wants to be. So to hear this from him is something that is very valuable and is something that I think Rockets fans really appreciate, right? Jabari Smith, I think every day is becoming more and more of a fan favorite for this team. Yes, there's guys like Kevin Durant. Yes, there's guys like Amen Thompson and Alperen Şengün have, found their way a little bit quicker. But Jabari Smith sticking to this path and sticking on his development and, just really staying on it and just grinding to be the best player that he can for Houston, for this organization, is something every franchise wish they had for their players for their development. Jabari Smith is our guy. He is our essentially the person that we are going to invest in. And he had this to say about playing with his new teammates next year: Dorian Finney-Smith, Clint Capella, Kevin Durant. He says, "I'm excited, honestly, just to see what we can do, the heights we can reach, just growing together, meeting new teammates. I'm just overly excited." And he's absolutely, I mean, I would be too, right? If you're 22 years old and the next thing you know, you're playing next to Kevin Durant for at least, the next 2-3 seasons. I mean, that's a gift, right? Going back to the draft when he was drafted. There's a lot of comparisons, and some, I would say, a little bit unfair comparisons of him and Kevin Durant, similar builds, and uh, Jabari Smith's ability to possibly develop into something similar to KD. I think comparing anybody to KD is unfair to whoever you're comparing that to, but there was a lot of those comparisons. But now Jabari Smith can actually learn from KD every single day. Ime Udoka has gone on record and said, hey, the way KD trains, and GM Rafael as well, the way KD trains, the way he takes everything so serious and he's so meticulous and so detailed about his workouts, that is only going to not only make KD better, but make everyone else around him better. When these young guys see a veteran treat and discipline themselves this way, it's only going to be something they can learn from and that they can gain value of that experience being their teammate. And so I think this is a prime opportunity for Jabari Smith to learn those things, right? This was a guy you were supposed to be traded for, but now you have the benefit of learning from one of the greatest scorers, one of the greatest NBA players of all time, in Kevin Durant. So I see all of this, and then with the contract and with him being more of a fan favorite trending, it's such a win-win scenario for Jabari Smith Jr. And so I applaud him for wanting to stay in Houston, wanting to be here for that long. And so I commend him, and it's all great stuff hearing from him. Now, in terms of development, right, he has been at a little bit of I wouldn't want to say standstill, but because he has provided good contributions while he was on the court. But 12 points his rookie year, 13.7 his second year, and then went down about a point, 12.2 in his third year. And so there has been a little bit of just not as much improvement in terms of a scoring aspect. There's other areas of his game that has improved. His 3-point percentage, took a dip last year, but still it has improved from his rookie year. He has gotten a lot better. But I'm curious to see him go to that next level. And I think considering all of these new aspects, like KD playing with Dorian Finney-Smith, third year of an Ime Udoka coaching tenure, right, when things are starting to be more put in place, I think Jabari Smith can really find his groove in this roster. After signing that contract, it was pretty much the front office telling him, like, hey, we want you to be a starter. We want you on this team. We want you to be our number 4 out there on the court, right? Playing next to Alperen Şengün, playing next to KD. We are invested in you. And for any 22-year-old, right, including myself, currently 22 as well, anytime you get a boost of confidence or just compliments, it's going to just make you work harder. It's going to make you just feel better about yourself and that you belong. And so to hear that essentially from the front office, giving him a 5-year, $122 million contract, not trading him, investing in him, is all you need to hear when you're that age. And take it from me, right? That's what you need to hear. And so that is great from that perspective for Jabari Smith Jr. And so if we can find a way, or if he can find a way to make that next jump, make that next step in his development, playing alongside these guys, being coached by Ime Udoka, it's just going to unlock him and make him one of the favorites on this team and one of the game changers when it comes to games in the playoffs, games late in the season, fighting for a seeding. It's all going to be so important. It is Jabari Smith's development as a player that's going to really take this team to that next level. Yes, getting KD was the first step in that, but now you have the depth. Let's develop that depth a little more, and Jabari Smith Jr. is a key guy in all of that. Not only next season, but for the next seasons, 4 or 5 seasons that he's going to play on this team. And so I want to bring it back to you guys. I want to get your opinion on this. How many points do you expect for Jabari to score per game next season? And I want you to really think about that. What is our expectation from him going forward? He's been stuck at a 12-13 his first 3 seasons. What would you put him as? Would you want him to get 15? I say 15. Are you leaning towards 15? Are you kind of saying, hey, 13's fine. We got KD. He can come up with the slack. But what's the expectation? I personally want to see that improvement, and I do think him being at 15 helps his case and really shows everyone that he is developing his game offensively. Stuff he has worked on this offseason, trying to create his own shot. He's set up himself, working with his trainer. And so I hope to see him at 15 points per game next season. But let me know in the comments, where do you expect for him to score next season? Now, with that, you let me know if you have not already. Hit that subscribe button. We're covering the Rockets all off season. I've been your host, Donovan Ricondo. We'll see you on the next one of Rockets Digest. Adios.